bad guy and bad guys redirect here. For other uses, see bad guy. A villain is an evil character in a story, whether a historical narrative, or, especially, a work of fiction. The villain usually is the antagonist, the character who tends to have a negative effect on other characters. A female villain is occasionally called a villainous. Random House Unabridged Dictionary defines villain as a cruelly malicious person who is involved in, or devoted to wickedness or crime, scoundrel, or a character in a play, novel, or the like, who constitutes an important evil agency in the plot. Villain comes from the Anglo-French and Old French villain, which itself descends from the late Latin word villanus, meaning farmhand, in the sense of someone who is bound to the soil of a villa, which is to say, worked on the equivalent of a plantation in Late Antiquity, in Italy or Gaul. The same etymology produced vilain. It referred to a person of less than knightly status, and so came to mean a person who was not chivalrous. As a result of many unchivalrous acts, such as treachery or rape, being considered villainous in the modern sense of the word, it became used as a term of abuse, and eventually took on its modern meaning. The Germanic word churl, originally meaning a non-servile peasant, and denoting the lowest rank of freemen in Saxon society, had gone through a similar degradation, as did the word boor, which originally meant farmer. None of these acts necessarily occurs in a fairy tale, but when any of them do, the character that performs the act is the villain. The villain therefore could appear twice, once in the opening of the story, and a second time as the person sought out by the hero. When a character performed only these acts, the character was a pure villain. Various villains also perform other functions in a fairy tale, a witch who fought the hero and ran away, and who lets the hero follow her, is also performing the task of guidance, and thus acting as a helper. The functions could also be spread out among several characters. If a dragon acted as the villain, but was killed by the hero, another character might take on the role of the villain and pursue the hero. Two other characters could appear in roles that are villainous in the more general sense. One is the false hero. This character is always villainous, presenting a false claim to be the hero that must be rebutted for the happy ending. Among these characters are Cinderella's stepsisters, chopping off parts of their feet to fit on the shoe. Another character, the dispatcher, sends a hero on his quest. This might be an innocent request to fulfill a legitimate need, but the dispatcher might also, villainously, lie to send a character on a quest in hopes of being rid of him. The villain moniker bad guys is colloquially used by the U.S. military-industrial complex when referring to human targets of its weapon systems. In the meantime, the term has also been adopted in U.S. politics when reference is made to an unidentified military foe. It is used primarily in spoken language and will rarely feature in authorized or official documents. In fiction, villains commonly function in the dual role of adversary and foil to the story's heroes. In their role as adversary, the villain serves as an obstacle the hero must struggle to overcome. In their role as foil, the villain exemplifies characteristics that are diametrically opposed to those of the hero, creating a contrast distinguishing heroic traits from villainous ones. In an attempt to add realism to their stories, many writers will try to create sympathetic villains, the antithesis to an anti-hero. These villains come in just as many shapes and sizes as anti-heroes do. Some may wish to make the world a better place, but go to antagonistic lengths to do so, or may employ a code of honor in fighting his enemies, even if it is to achieve antagonistic goals. Other sympathetic villains may be pushed to antagonistic lifestyles by society's mistreatment of him due to prejudice against something he is a part of, but goes to absurd lengths to achieve the equality he desires. Others may include those manipulated by malevolent forces,